Hi guys. Today I'm going to be doing a video a little bit different than most of my normal reviews, and I'm going to be revealing my picks for the top 5 moons in our solar system that are basically most likely to have life. Now, by life, I mean carbon-based that could be recognizable. Um, I'm tempted to say life as we know it because uh, even though life on Titan might be have used methane as a solvent, it's still based on carbon and probably will not look extremely bizarre compared to animals we have in ocean seas or Earth's ocean. Sorry, like maybe jellyfish or some kind of thin uh, microbial life. So I'm going to be starting off my number 5 choice, and number 5 choice is going to be Triton. Now, Triton is the largest moon, largest natural satellite of Neptune, and it's really interesting. Most scientists think Neptune would have more than one major moon, similar to the other 3 giant planets, but scientists also think that Triton is a captured KBO, basically a captured Kuiper Belt object that originated in the, I guess, area around Pluto and was somehow captured into orbit around Neptune. This is a complicated process, and I won't bore you on the details. But so basically, they think that Triton came in and destroyed a lot of the other Neptunian moons, and Triton is what's left. It won't always be there. It'll eventually crash into or be broken up by Neptune's gravity because it's moving closer and closer each year to Neptune. Now, Triton I picked because one, it is really large, and most huge moons are likely to be differentiated. By that meaning, uh, it's one in hydrostatic equilibrium, and it's got a mantle, it's got a solid rocky core, and it's got ice underneath the crust, maybe mixed with water and other solvents. And so, yeah, it's the seventh largest moon of Neptune, and it would be a dwarf planet if it was not around or in orbit around Neptune. The reason I think this is likely to have life, there's a couple of reasons. For one, on the surface is very interesting. One, it has a significant for a moon anyway, an atmosphere, and it's got lots of evidence of geologic activity. It's got cryovolcanism, and um, there's been evidence of maybe some organic material on the surface. Uh, there's also could be ammonia and uh, other solvents or ices at that temperature on the surface. And so a lot of scientists have speculated as to whether there's still an ocean. Scientists think at one time there was definitely probably liquid, maybe even liquid nitrogen seas on the surface and a very thick atmosphere, similar to what Titan looks like today. But for some reason, a lot of it was lost. But if not on the surface, underneath in the mantle, there could be some forms of microbial life. Uh, if the ice water mixture is has some other solvents dissolved in it, such as ammonia, that would help the water stay liquid at a much lower temperature than it would on Earth. So this raises the prospect of life a little different than life found here in Antarctica in places. Uh, it would likely have a much slower metabolism. Would probably live for hundreds of thousands of years. So yeah, pretty bizarre, but still Earth-like. Now, my number 4 pick is going to be Ganymede. Ganymede, of course, a lot of people know, is the largest moon in the solar system. It's larger than the dwarf planet Mercury, similar to Saturn's moon Titan, which I'll get to in a few minutes. Uh, it also has a magnetic field. This says only moon known to have a magnetic field, but to be honest, uh, there's other moons in our solar system that have at least partial magnetic fields or remnants. Most large objects with an ocean are going to have a magnetic field. Uh, so yeah, it was also one of the first moons discovered by Galileo Galilei in 1610, and it has had space probe visited and studied it in a good bit of detail, which was Galileo, named after the famous astronomer. Okay, so this is my fourth pick because for a couple of reasons. One, it's huge and it is differentiated, and the surface, while it is more cratered and generally older than Europa, another moon of Jupiter, you can see evidence of a bunch of different terrains. See evidence of flows, geologic activity, bright spots, which are thought to be salts and other materials. Uh, Cryovolcanism is not thought to have played that big of a role, though. So the amount of geologic activity may not be as much as some other bodies in the solar system. So scientists think it's got a iron core, silicate mantle, and above that, outer layers of water ice and liquid water. Now, other objects in the solar system, such as the dwarf planet Ceres, are thought to have some sort of an ocean, but the surface of those bodies are much older, much more cratered, and so if there is an ocean, it's probably farther down, and it's probably not as big, and the geologic activity is probably not as much because the surface hadn't changed for millions of years. Ganymede is a whole different body altogether. And some scientists even think there could be more than one ocean on Ganymede, with one basically touching the core. And from what scientists think, that life can arise maybe fairly easily with a rock, water, or some kind of solvent mixture touching. The core provides heat, whereas Earth-like life would find it very hard to survive in just basically pure water, ice, and ammonia. But if it's warmer toward the bottom and can touch the mantle or the core, then the possibility of hydrothermal vent-like life that we find on Earth could be very big on Ganymede or a body like it. So that's my fourth pick for most habitable. And my number third pick is going to really surprise some people, and it is Europa. Now, Europa is one of the largest moons also of the solar system, and it's probably the most well known in terms of possibility for extraterrestrial life. Basically, it has an ocean that is maybe one of the largest, if not the largest, in the solar system, stretching miles, miles deep. However, it is also under miles and miles of crust. So it's going to be hard to drill down there and get to the ocean. There could be huge sea monsters down there for all we know, but we can never get down there very easily, or at least not in the foreseeable future. And that's why I don't have it as my number one pick, because I'm also basing the list kind of on the easiest places to find life. Europa is not one of them. Anyway, so Europa is my number third pick, and most of you know the reason why there. Now, my number two pick is moon of Saturn, a very tiny moon in comparison to the other moons I've listed so far, Enceladus, sixth largest moon of Saturn, and it completely baffled scientists when Cassini first arrived at the Saturn system in the mid-2000s. Its surface is basically completely new. It's got evidence of icy flows along the surface. It's got vents of water ice spurting out of the surface, especially at the poles, and forming Saturn's E-ring, ironically. And so scientists think that Enceladus might be one of the easiest places to find life as we know it in the solar system. and because you don't have to drill down miles and miles to get to the ocean, and you could just like